Hello and welcome to the Grange Sports Weekly. Here on the Grange Sports Weekly, we get to look at different sporting stories. We've got a lot of passion for football. So yes, we'll talk a lot about football on this edition. We'll talk about the exploits of Nigerian teams at the CAF Confederations Cup and the CAF Champions League fixtures just over the weekend, and also other games cut across different parts of Europe. All of that will be coming on this edition of the Grange Sports Weekly. Stay with me. I am Richie. All right, welcome back to the Grange Sports Weekly. This week, we get to talk about our Nigerian teams who have played in the CAF Confederations Cup. Unfortunately, for at least two of them, they got eliminated. Abia Warriors and Para United. Unfortunately, they did their best based on the sort of preparations they've had, based on the sort of personnel they have. They could not make it beyond the preliminary stage of the CAF Confederations Cup. But for Rivers United, it was a fantastic run for them. Remo Stars, also fantastic run for them. These two sides have gotten to the next stage of the CAF Confederations, the CAF Champions League draw. Now, in the CAF Champions League, which is the elite version of club side football within the continent, you have this preliminary stages of games played before you get into the group stage. Now, the group stage is where a lot of teams make good money, and it runs into hundreds and thousands of dollars. So this is where every club is hoping to get to. Now, the Confederations Cup, for those who do not know, this is where you would have the second tier of clubs who have qualified. Either they had won the Confederations Cup like Nigeria, you had won the cup title in Nigeria, or you came third, then you qualified to play for the Confederations Cup. Now, the two teams who qualified, Abia Warriors and Kwara United, unfortunately could not make it past. And it's really sad because you would expect Nigerian teams to at least qualify for the group stage. You would expect them to go far. You would expect them to at least win, because there's a catch in it. If you win the CAF Champions League, you put yourself in a position where you would qualify to play the Club World Cup. Now, that is a big money spinner at the moment. FIFA has invested good money in it. Last time we saw Chelsea win it, and we saw big sides involved: PSG, Chelsea. We saw teams from Saudi Arabia come through. We saw other teams representing Africa who came through at the early stages of the tournament. It's now a bigger tournament that FIFA has pushed for. This is now something that you might want to look forward to as a club owner or as a player. If you get to win the CAF Champions League, you put yourself in a position where you play at the FIFA Club World Cup, which is an absolute beauty. We don't know exactly how big it will get in the future, but for now, it's bigger than what it used to be. So it's unfortunate that we see Nigerian teams drop out. We're wishing and hoping that Rivers United and Remo Stars will continue doing fantastic at this tournament, go far, and even possibly make it to the final of this tournament. I might be asking for too much. Yes, it sounds like I'm asking for too much, but Enyimba had done this before, and they had done it 2 times in a row. So it's not something impossible. But then you'd have to ask yourself, what plans do these teams make when they are on the off season, knowing that they're going to play continental football? Are they trying to work out in places where they possibly could play football? Have the players gone on a jamboree? Are they fortifying, knowing that they're going to be playing against teams who are used to playing these tournaments back to back? So these are questions that clubs probably need to work out and make sure they are in the very best opportunity to get far in this tournament, because it gives you a lot of respect when you can play some of the big boys from the Northern African side, or even some from East Africa. We want to make sure we make it to the finals. That is where the respect and the big money comes through. So I wish Rivers United all the best. I also wish Remo Stars all the best, champions of the NPFL. Let's talk about the NPFL. We saw interesting games right from this weekend. Bayelsa United went away to Insurance of Benin and got a draw. That was really stunning that they could do that, because the coach of Bayelsa United, current coach Mondio Dige, used to work for Bayelsa United. So going to his old stomping ground, he must have known how to do that magic. And he got away with at least 1 point in that fixture, which is fantastic. But the games that were played on Sunday, boy, those games were fire. Rangers went away to Bauchi and they secured a 2-2 draw, which is fantastic. They've not had the best of times this season. It's been difficult for them. They won this 2 seasons ago, and you'd have thought maybe they would be in a better position to push harder and maybe do something big. But this season has been a bit of struggle for them. But thanks to Godwin Obaje, who scored 2 goals in that game, they've been able to do something fantastic. Well, Owerri side, Kun Khalifat, could not win. It was visiting Barao FC who defeated them 3 goals to 1, which was shocking. How would you have expected Kun Khalifat not to win in front of their fans? Well, they were not the only ones that did that. Warri Wolves lost at home to Shooting Stars in front of their fans in Ozoro. Might not have been the preferred place for them to play. Maybe they would have preferred to play maybe in Warri, within Warri, or maybe play in Asaba. But they lost to Shooting Stars, and we saw other interesting results from the NPFL. It gives us something to have hope for, that yes, we have a league that is growing in leaps and bounds. We have a league that you can't really predict what will happen. It is really down to what you do on the pitch, and we believe that this will continue for the rest of the season, not just for this early part of the season, but for the rest of the season. We want to see fantastic results from the NPFL. We want to see the players celebrated better. I saw the celebration of Yusuf Anas, who was the highest goal scorer for last season, and boy, it was a disgrace. It was a disgrace by all standards. I don't know what problems Unicel had with the league body, the NPFL, but that was not resolved earlier on. And the league body decided, oh, we're going to celebrate Yusuf Anas because the season was already starting, and it was terrible. It was a terrible show. They should have just called him privately at the backyard, handed it over to him, gone to a studio for him to snap, and what they did. The NPFL has got to do better. Yes, there's when you see what happens in other leagues, you ask yourself whether it's a miracle what they are doing outside. They don't have a functional website that gives you up-to-date analysis of everything happening in different clubs. You look at different leagues and what they are doing. It is not so hard. Like, there are hardworking Nigerians who can manage these websites for them, or even manage the media for them, because you don't have a TV game, you don't have the matches on a TV, which is a cause for worry, because not everyone has the opportunity to go to the stadium to watch. But if you could have these games on radio, you could have these games on TV, it helps people appreciate the league better, helps people know players they're supporting, teams they're supporting. If you're in Bauchi, you want to hear what your team did, maybe somewhere in Abia State, or what your team did somewhere in Ikorodu. You want to follow them back to back. That is the beauty of the league. And that's why the leagues like that of the English Premier League, Spanish La Liga, Serie A is being celebrated the way it is, because of visibility. It is right in front of your face. Look at the quality of production for each of those matches. It's a testament that we can do, because you can't have people buying, you can say, oh, we're far away from them. You can't have people buying 2025 cars in Nigeria and tell me you cannot do world-class productions. You can't have people breaking Guinness World Book of Records in this country and tell me you cannot have productions like what you have in other parts of Europe. Come on, we can do better. Well, that's a wrap on the NPFL. Let's get to talk about the European games, and it was a feast of games right from the weekend. You look at Real Madrid in Spain, you would have expected a mature fight between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. But that was not seen at all. Xabi Alonso is new in this job, but he's got the tools. He's got some of the best players in the world. He raided some of the big teams, getting some of their fine players, raided Bournemouth, got Dean Huijsen, raided Liverpool, got the man, what's his name again, got Arnold, Trent Alexander-Arnold, got him to the squad. And you look at every department just is stacked at Real Madrid. You would have expected that against Atletico Madrid, who do not have, with all due respect, they do not have the sort of squad you have at Real Madrid, to struggle against Real Madrid. But That was not the matter. It ended 5 goals for Atletico Madrid. It was a stunning game by all standards. If you had followed that game, it was not something you would have seen in any script. That Atletico Madrid will score 5 against Real Madrid and really humble them right in front of their fans. I'm not sure a lot of people saw that coming for Real Madrid, but for Atletico Madrid, having Julian Alvarez score the sort of goals he scored against Real Madrid, that was a statement. That's another Argentine who loved to score against Real Madrid. Back in the day, we had Barcelona's Lionel Messi, who loved to score against Real Madrid. Whether he had an injury or not, just put him in a game against Real Madrid. He just had a bone to settle with them, and he would always find a way to score. But this time around, there's another thorn in the flesh of Real Madrid, and his name is Julian Alvarez. He has been fantastic for Atletico Madrid, and the goals he scored on that day was just stunning. 5 goals to 2. That game ended. We saw the brilliant results from Spain. Mallorca defeating Deportivo Alaves 1-0. Then in the German Bundesliga, there was one game that caught my attention. Apart from Bayern Munich doing their magic earlier on Friday before the set of games we were seeing this weekend, we saw a 10-goal thriller between Eintracht Frankfurt and Borussia Mönchengladbach. In fact, why this is so stunning is that for Eintracht Frankfurt, who were away from home, they had scored 5 goals in the first half. They had scored a 6th goal just as the second half was starting. Then we saw the resurgence of the host team at Borussia Mönchengladbach. They started their resurgence in the later minutes of 70. And from that 70th minutes of the game, they started scoring 1, 2, 3, 4. That must have rattled Eintracht Frankfurt, and they must have asked themselves questions. How can we continue like this? Can we still maintain that lead? And they maintained it. 10-goal thriller, 6-4 that game ended. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Well, no surprises for the action in Italy. Cagliari losing to Inter Milan. We know how solid Inter Milan have been, and Lautaro Martinez, always the man responsible for delivering some of the beautiful goals for Inter Milan, delivered for his side on the night. For Juventus and Atalanta, that was where we saw some fireworks. 1-1 that game ended. You might have thought that Juventus would have done a bit better. They've come from the back in some games and done some magic rescuing themselves. And then this game, it ended 1-1. But if you had not watched that game, you probably would not have seen the magic in that fixture. Como and Cremonese ended 1-1 too on Saturday, which was really astonishing. Como, the way they've been building back to back, they've not really let anything hit them so hard. They've got some interesting players, some retired, some not retired, some tired players in quotes who have gone to Como, and some other young players like Paz, who has been in absolute fine form for Como. Cesc Fabregas, it's a bit nostalgic knowing that I had watched Cesc Fabregas as a 16-year-old move into the Spanish national team, move into the Arsenal squad, played his full career, played for Arsenal, played for Barcelona, played for Chelsea, retired from football, turned into a player coach in Italy, and now he is a coach of Como. You could see the way he understands football. It's different from some others. He knows how to pick it in little bits, and he's growing Como. In fact, it was that big that when there were some vacancies with coaching in Europe, some people were looking, oh, should we go for Cesc Fabregas? He's doing fantastic with Como. Led them from the lower league in Italy to the Serie A, and you can see how fantastic he has been doing there in Italy. We wish him all the best. I wish him all the best. I hope that things would work out for him a lot better. And now let's get back to the Premier League. Over the weekend, Manchester United lost. Chelsea lost. Liverpool lost. Maybe there was no surprise about Manchester United, but you begin to ask yourself questions. Do they need exorcism? Do they have demons affecting them? Is it the coach or is it the players? Because you look from the back line, he's got an array of players who should be able to deliver on every match. He's got on his wish list for the transfer window. He got some of the players he wanted. So what is the problem? Some say it's the formation he's playing, that it's not suited for the team, because you've got Fernandes, who's playing from Bruno Fernandes, who's playing deeper for Manchester United and not really in that position where he should play a more attacking role for Manchester United. And it does look like it has affected them. Benjamin Šeško scored their first goal, his first goal for the club just this weekend, but it still was not enough. It was a goal scramble. We've not really seen him bring in his A game for Manchester United, and that is largely because he's not had a lot of creativity helping him provide it right before him, waiting for him to do his magic. Aerially, he's not been getting service. On the grass, he's also not been getting service. And it makes you ask questions, because I've seen different sets of players who were mad over the weekend asking for Amorim to leave. Some say it's the players who have been terrible and abysmal. There's nothing anyone can do. Even if you bring in a Jose Mourinho, there's no change. But you ask yourself, is it impossible for these players to play great football? It's just sad where they are on the table and how they would lose their goalkeeper, Bayendia. You would have thought that Bayendia was a little bit of an answer to their problems. They said, oh, Onana was a problem, and he is still a problem in Turkey. Just over the weekend, he conceded 2 goals. Paul Onachu was livid. He was really livid with him. He didn't understand why he should concede those 2 goals like that. But that's a story for another day. Let's talk about Bayendia. Bayendia took over that position. They had signed a goalkeeper who you would have thought they would make use of, but they've not made use of him at all. He's basically on the bench, and Bayendia conceded some goals I do not understand. The last goal Brentford scored, he should have attempted to push that at all, but he didn't see that early, and when he dived for it, it was just too late, and the rest is history. For Chelsea, I think Maresca could also be a problem. I hear that the hierarchy are giving him support, but from my understanding of English football, sometimes when you're given backing by the board, it means they're looking at sacking you soon enough. I think he knows that, because look at how they lost. You would not have expected them to lose that way. Trevor Chalobah made a schoolboy mistake, got a red card, but this is Chelsea. They are the club world champions. It is not a side that you would expect to just lose like that, but they lost. Danny Welbeck, an old man who should be rested, scoring goals like that against them. And it's really sad. For Crystal Palace, I do not know what they took before they played Liverpool. I do not know what they drank. I do not know what got into their system. It looked like they had, when people say your ancestors were supporting you, your ancestors came to give you that kind of extra support. That's what I could see from Crystal Palace. They could have scored 5 in that game. They could have embarrassed Liverpool. The woodwork was a problem. Goalkeeper Alisson was in sublime form. He was pristinely accurate. But unfortunately, the barrage of attacks from from Crystal Palace was just too good. And eventually, it was Arsenal boy Eddie Nketiah who did a favor for his side. He says some Arsenal officials called him to say thank you, because Liverpool are on top of Arsenal. And that loss meant that it was just going to be 2 points if Arsenal were to win their game. And we all know how that worked out for Arsenal. So a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of Arsenal officials texted him saying thank you for that, because it was a last-minute goal. It should be a 96-minute goal. He scored for his side, but it was within the added time in the game that he was able to score for Crystal Palace. It was a dramatic day. Arne Slot believed his players were not good enough and they deserved to lose that game. Can they successfully defend their title? They look like a team who are perfect on paper, but they do have some cracks. Florian Wirtz has not really hit that top gear. In fact, it does look like he's crawling at the moment. We don't know what is wrong with him. He is a great player. We know what he did. when he played in Germany for Borussia, for Bayer Leverkusen, not Borussia, Bayer Leverkusen, when they won and they went unbeaten. We know how good he was. In fact, I was among those who felt, oh, this was too good for Liverpool. They were going for a very complete player, very expensive, record signing for Liverpool. He's not hit the ground running. Alexander Isak too has also not gotten that rhythm that we saw at Newcastle. He's really not got that with Liverpool. Liverpool could not play Hugo Ekitike because he had a red card, 2 yellow cards in the League Cup. They played. He scored, celebrated, forgot he got a yellow card, and the rest is history. He's going to sit out. He sat out that game, and we'll wait to see if they would pick up for their very next fixture. There is also the story of Arsenal. We cannot finish the show without talking about Arsenal. They were the team a lot of people expected to lose this weekend because Newcastle were bustling. They had not won at Newcastle for a while, so you would expected Newcastle to continue in that same fashion. They had Votamade, who scored a fantastic goal with his head. I think it should be 6'7" or 6'6", a towering figure for the side. And he delivered a beautiful goal for them. Mikel Arteta, in his madness, changed the second half, brought in some players. It was a bit confusing for the team because he took out Calafiori at a time, and the team did not understand who was going to play left back. But somehow, in his madness, there was some sense in it. He helped his side. One of his substitutes, Mikel Merino, delivered one of the goals, the equalizer in the game. Odegaard was also involved in the goal that led to the corner. There was a corner kick, and of course, it was Gabriel who delivered that very important goal for Arsenal to give them 3 points, and they are now 2 points behind Liverpool. Everything over the weekend was just absolutely fantastic. I do not have enough time to look at all of them, but you tell me what your thoughts were from the weekend. I will read your comments in the next edition of the show. If there's something you want me to incorporate, let me know in the comment section. I would love to know. So it's very simple. Like, share, subscribe, watch it. Yes, that would be really fantastic for me. At this point, I really have to go. Big shout out to Shade Social for giving us this space to shoot. They have always been fantastic for us here, right from the very first edition of this. And big shout out to my producer and director, Famous, who has been fantastic all through. Thank you very much. Till the next edition of the Grange Sports Weekly, I am Richie. Take good care of yourself. Bye.